Welcome to our third installment of the R is for Retro podcast. My name is Matty J, and I'm wondering whose princess is in the castle I just rescued. Joining me are my two lovely co-hosts, as always. We have Chris.
Hey, my name is Chris from the Foulmouth Gamers, and I love coming home and caressing my Dreamcast kiosk when no one's around watching.
He thinks no one's watching. And also, of course, Mike.
My name's Mike. I like to pretend I'm E.T. and jump into New Mexican asteroid craters. Our guests today are Grimsie42.
How's it going, guys?
And we have John from the VintageGameVikings.
What's happening, everybody?
Well, since John and Scott are our guests, we are going to talk a little bit about what you guys, why you're even on this podcast, what you collect, that kind of thing. So we'll start with John. Tell us a little bit about yourself, what you collect, any other random fun fact you want.
Oh, there's no fun facts about me. Go ahead, Maddie. I see you smiling.
I was going to say, I have a fun fact about you, but we'll let you go ahead first.
Okay. I have a YouTube channel called VintageGameVikings I do with my buddy FK. Basically, it's Let's Plays and pickup videos and cuss words and just about any offensive thing you can possibly think of. Right now, I'm sitting at the number of the beast, 666 NES games, bunch of them boxed. I did paint an entire room Nintendo color. That's probably not your interesting fact, Matty J, but fuck you anyway. Eat a dick. And that's really about it. I collect for all systems, and I don't know. I just like to play games and do all that kind of crazy shit. But go ahead and fire your fun fact. I'm interested in what you have to say.
My fun fact about John is that he finished in one of the, you can be specific about it, but he was one of the top bands in the country for the video game Rock Band. That is correct?
That is correct. 2010, MTV paid for me and three of my buddies to go out to Atlantic City and play in national championships, which we got 6th out of 20, which wasn't bad. But we got drunk for 4 days straight on MTV's dime, and that was probably the best part of it. Fuck the game.
I mean, I have no idea how good you are at Rock Band. You just have to be insane at it. That's all I can imagine.
You'd be surprised.
And also joining us, of course, is Scott, a.k.a. Grimsie42. You can see him on his channel, Grimsie42. Scott, tell us a little bit about what you collect for those who don't know.
Well, I guess my main focus is also NES. I am 16 games from complete, 4 of those licensed, and the other 12 are unlicensed. So getting pretty close. I got most of the hard ones out of the way, like Samson, Flintstones, all that fun stuff. But other than that, I do collect other games. I've got a decent-sized Super Nintendo collection. I really don't collect anything older than NES, though, just because I don't have any nostalgic connection to it. So,
yeah, that's pretty much like me. Same kind of reason. I was like 5, the oldest, like when I first saw an Atari, and like right after that Nintendo came out. So.
Yeah, I never owned one as a kid. I literally just got my first Atari game from Jay of the Game Chasers when I was at Retropalooza, and I only got it because my mother needed one for a scavenger hunt, and I didn't have one. So she was quite shocked that her son with 3,000 video games didn't have one video game. She was pretty confused.
Nice. That was just a random thing in a scavenger hunt, just like an Atari game.
Every year it's a crazy, like some of the stuff, like the one year they wanted a receipt from a Sonic, and the reason that's weird for us is there's no Sonic within like 400 miles, so it's always stuff that you can't normally find, and to old people Atari games I guess are hard to find. I don't know. Yeah,
that's interesting. John, why don't you, other than your channel, which is Vintage Game Vikings, why don't you tell us about a YouTube channel that you think everybody should be watching? Like maybe a smaller channel, but they're just like great and you love them.
A smaller channel? You're gonna put me on the spot and make me do some fucking thinking?
I know.
Jeez.
It doesn't necessarily have to be a smaller channel, but just a channel that maybe some people don't know about that they should.
You're trying to make me plug your own channel. You want to throw a Matty J Mania shout out, don't you?
Yeah, I am actually not trying to get you to plug my own channel, but yeah, I mean, I'll take the plug if that's where you want to go with this,
Yeah, go ahead, take your plug. Let's hear you boast about your own channel and throw the light reflecting off your little Samson shit since it's bright as fuck in your room.
My angelic self.
It's his Flintstones cart. That's what it is.
Well, John's talking about my channel, which is Matty J Mania, if you don't know. But more importantly than my channel is I am actually hosting a retro gaming convention in Pittsburgh, November 15th. I believe John will be in attendance. I believe Scott might be in attendance. And Mike and Chris also might be in attendance. So
I'll be there.
It should be a good time. But since I the curveball John with that, I think Scott is a little more prepared now that he knows that same question's coming to him. So, Scott, tell us a channel you think people should know about that they might not already know about.
Well, honestly, I guess if you want to go the avenue of pickup videos, one of my personal favorite is Air Force Shields. I actually, very well-spoken guy, good friend of mine. I enjoy his stuff. Another channel that I really enjoy is SNESman16, but unfortunately he retired, so that's not a very good tip unless you want to watch old archived videos.
What about you, Mike? You have any channels that are kind of under the radar that people should maybe know about?
There's this one. He's some 15-year-old jackass. He makes gaming videos and whatnot. I think it's called T-Bit and 192. You guys should go check him out. And he's just an asshole. He does habanero challenges and all this bullshit. He's an idiot. And there's another channel called Foulmouth Gamers, and there's some douchebag named Chris on it, and he likes to take long, passionate showers with his Atari. So go check him out.
It's great. I did not intend for this to turn into shameless self-promotions of each other's channels, I promise. Chris, you have any channels that are kind of maybe, some people need to know about, flying under the radar, that kind of thing?
Any shitty ones, Chris?
Well, maybe Retro Red. I believe he has, how many subscribers right now? About almost 300 subscribers. And I've seen a lot of his pickup videos, and that guy, wow, he can find so much stuff, for so cheap. It's crazy. It's crazy. If you watch any of his videos, you'll see all the stuff he grabs, and you're just wondering, how are you finding this stuff?
Yeah, he's got a great channel. My plug will go to it's actually, I got turned on to them through Scott unintentionally, and that's the Sprite Lovers. I actually just recently started watching their channel. Great videos. It's a married couple. They do mostly pickup type videos. They have a little bit of game hunting, that kind of thing, but great channel. I love their dynamic. I love that it's a married couple that does it's kind of the stuff I always watch, but different, So yeah, they're definitely a cool channel. It's Sprite Lovers. If you haven't already checked them out, you definitely should. So there's been a lot of new games, specifically new Nintendo games, mainly Hyrule Warriors and the Smash Brothers for the 3DS. So let's talk about, did you get any of those games? What are your thoughts on those games? If you did get them or didn't get them, anything like that. We'll start with Mike. Mike, did you get Hyrule Warriors or Smash Brothers?
I attempted to get, but considering I sold my 3DS, no, I didn't. But I tried to go and get the Hyrule Warriors, but couldn't make the trip there. Fuck you, Scott. I want the collector's edition. Chris, shut your face. You couldn't get it either. And Matt, I have nothing against you today. So mustache rides.
Thank you. Thanks. What about you, John? John, did you get Hyrule Warriors or Smash Brothers? Are you into those? What's your deal?
You guys and your new confounded systems. I don't even own a Wii or a 3DS, so I don't have any of this shit. Hyrule Warriors has just been getting under my skin for the last fucking 2 weeks or whatever, 3 weeks. People have been talking about it, and it just drives me up the wall. I mean, Dynasty Warriors is just a straight up button masher, A button, A button, A button for 6 hours, and I'm kind with that. If you like mashing A, that's cool. But everyone has had their dick out just beaten off over the fact that it's Legend of Zelda. And, it's propelled this simple franchise through the fucking roof. And it just drives me nuts. And I'm looking at the thing, and Mike and Chris are both jerking off. You know. Oh God. But yeah, like it's just been driving me up the wall. And if you like Dynasty Warriors, that's fine. It's just the fact that fandom has just been, you know, propelling this game to ridiculous measures drives me nuts. End of rant.
End of rant. What about Smash Brothers? Are you into Smash, despite the 3DS one? Are you into Smash Brothers at all?
Smash Brothers is cool. I'll play it casually, like if, you know, they're having a party or someone's playing Smash. Smash is awesome. I'm not a super big player of it. I'm more of a Marvel guy. But I've seen a lot of people playing it. It does look kind of awesome. The fact that they finally brought Mega Man in is pretty sweet.
Yeah, that's kind of how I am with Smash Brothers. It's like super casual with it. It's a good game to like bust out at a party because you like don't have to be good at it or fighting games to be able to play it, and it's still fun, you know?
Yeah, just chuck fucking Pokeballs everywhere.
Yeah. What about Chris? Did you get the Smash Brothers or Hyrule Warriors?
Well, let's talk about Hyrule Warriors. No, I did not. Because I listened to the advice of some, quote-unquote, stupid employee at the Nintendo store that told me, yeah, there's not going to be a big line. You don't have to come 12 hours early. You can come just a couple of hours early. It'll be fine. No, it wasn't fine. I got there, and there were well over 1,000 people ahead of me online. And I love how that line was so huge. It was going around the entire block. So if you think about it, it was probably going about 3-4 Manhattan blocks long when I arrived. And oh my god, it was just ridiculous. There was a point in the line where someone from the Nintendo store actually came out and started telling people they were out of copies. Just imagine over 1,000 people online, furious, pissed off, looking at this guy like they just wanted to maul him. It was fantastic. But then I decided, you know what? Let me stay on the line. Maybe something's still available, right? 5 minutes later, same guy comes back out. Yeah, we're out of accessories or some kind of shit. And I'm just like, okay, walked away. Well,
What about Smash? You get Smash?
no, I didn't pick up a copy of Smash. I reserved it. I just haven't picked up my copy yet. But it will be there for me because I know set people at every GameStop on this island, so they'll, you know, if I can't get one over there, someone else will have a copy for me regardless.
Yeah, that's one of those games where, like, when you told me about the midnight release, I was like, oh, that's cool, because I do have a GameStop, like, 10 minutes from me. I was like, and I'm usually up at midnight. I was like, yeah, I'll get it. But it's one of those games that it'll always be there. I'll always be able to get it. That's why I was like, I'm not going out of my way to get this game.
Yeah, it'll always be there, so I can go anytime and pick it up. It's not a big deal to me.
Yeah. What about you, Scott? What about Hyrule Warriors and Super Smash Brothers?
Well, Smash is the easy one, so I'll start with that first. I tried it out on 3DS. I got the advanced DLC code, and, you know, I mean, it's Smash. It was decent. I'll probably pick it up, but they didn't do anything, at least for the 3DS, that told me you have to get this day one. I mean, I could be patient and get it a couple weeks from now at Target for $10, $15 cheaper or some other sale. Go to Cheap Ass Gamer if you want to find deals like that. That's where I go. But with the Hyrule Warriors, the actual reason that I attempted to go get the collector's edition is because I was lucky enough to get the Mario Kart limited edition and before that Wind Waker. So I didn't want to stop at that point, and I'm hoping they don't make any more of these super limited editions. But I showed up at about 10 o'clock at night, maybe 10:30, jumped in line, and luckily I was able to make the cutoff. So that was good, because if we drove all the way to New York City, which for me was 6.5 hours, and paid $50 to park and didn't get something, I would be quite upset. But yeah, I was lucky enough to get one, so good day.
Yeah, that's awesome. And Scott's talking about that super rare limited collector's edition. How many were there, Scott? Do you think like 250, 300, something like that?
Yeah, when I got there, I did a quick head count. No real science to it. Just take this group of people, it's 20 people, and then just hand your way out through it and figure it out. But they said that there was between 250 and 300. They really didn't want to give an exact number, and I don't know why. I don't know what was like the reason.
What the secret is.
Yeah, one thing I did manage to get from them, because I was trying to ask questions in every possible way I could to get more information, they did tell me that it was never intended to be released, and that Nintendo of America actually worked very hard with Nintendo of Japan to get the last few scarfs that they had left because anytime you manufacture something, you always over-manufacture just to account for, mistakes or anything like that. And it was a lot of work for them to be able to actually go ahead and get it. So I really do appreciate the fact that they did something. I just wish Nintendo would, get on the ball and give an opportunity. Like with the Wind Waker, it was a very limited release. They were GameStop exclusive and they sold out in 6 days, but they gave everybody a chance. At this point, they isolated anyone that doesn't live in New York and said, your options are cross the country and wait in line for a maybe or pay $800 on eBay. So I didn't think that was very fair of them.
Yeah, I'm with you too, man. I don't understand. It's like they're a company. They want to make money. Do what they did with the Wind Waker. Wind Waker was limited. It was sold out before it hit retail stores. You could only pre-order it, and they only sold so many pre-orders. So I don't know why they don't do something like that for games like that. Like this, I would have loved to get one of those. I absolutely would have pre-ordered one of those, and it's still limited and still cool and still be collectible, but just not so super limited. I do want to ask you, what goes on in a line waiting for a game from 10 at night till, what's that, like 12 hours, like 9 in the morning or whatever? How's that work?
Well,
tell me how that works.
Anytime Nintendo people get together, you're going to see people with their 3DS doing that Street Pass nonsense, which, to quote the great 8-bit Eric, and I agree, it's for 12-year-old girls. I think Street Pass is not for the hardcore gamers. But there was actually a guy who legitimately showed up to this line to not get in line. He literally paced the line back and forth with 2 3DSs in his hands to try to pick up as many Street Passes as he could. So you see a lot of that. A lot
Some
of people sitting
people.
there, and yeah, it's.
I honestly don't even know what the fuck Street Pass does or is. I have a 3DS. I have no clue what it even is. So it maybe I should look into it. I don't know. You said it's like for 12-year-old girls, so
I did it there just to see what it was. It's basically like the little Miis, I guess, that you make in it. Whenever you walk within a vicinity of another player who has their 3DS on, their Mii gets invited into yours, and then you can do like little puzzle games and stuff. So, I mean, I guess it's cool that it's free and it's like a little extra feature, but it's just not for me.
Yeah. You can do like puzzle games, or you could do like a little dungeon crawler or something like that to rescue your Mii or something like that.
Those two whole sentences sounded very dirty. Dungeon crawler.
I'll tell you though, when I was at the line, I was the only asshole, and I did this on purpose. I brought my PSP. I didn't give a shit. So I see everybody else with their 3DSs, and I'm just there with a PSP going, yeah, hi, okay. A few people give me dirty looks like, why do you have a PSP? It's like, why would I not have a PSP on me?
It's not even like he uses class. He doesn't even have a Vita. He has a PSP.
I have a... What are you talking about? Vita.
Scott, so people like take turns like hooking each other up with like food and that kind of thing. And like I guess once you're in line, it's like, okay, cool, you're here, like I'm here. Like, okay, you need to like run out of line for a second. Like everyone's cool with it at that point. Like once you're established in line.
I didn't hear anybody say anything. Luckily for me, the people in front of me and behind me actually recognized me from YouTube, so I didn't have any issues. But my friends would all run across the street to the bathroom. We were lucky enough that there was a kind of like a super grocery store, mini mart type of thing that was open 24 hours and had a bathroom right across the street from us. So that was a huge blessing, because if I had to hold it for 12 hours, I don't think I would have made it.
Yeah. Definitely not. That's why I don't understand those people that like camp out for days for like an iPhone. I don't understand it. I understand doing what you did, because it's just like one time, one shot, that's it. But like iPhone, there's gonna be iPhones.
Dude, we had a super cool group of people when I waited outside for the Wii back in 2006 or whatever at Best Buy. We had a game of Ultimate Frisbee going in the Best Buy parking lot around 2 in the morning. And around 3 o'clock, a car rolls up real slow. Windows come down, and they start egging the entire line. Flying out. And a couple of the guys got super pissed, and they ran to the Giant Eagle across the street and got their own eggs and handed them out to everybody in line in case these fuckers came back. which they did around 5 in the morning, and they got a very unpleasant surprise when about 50 people egged their car. One of the guys got in front so they couldn't go anywhere, and they just got eggs, like, in the windows, all over, everywhere. It was absolutely fantastic.
Oh my god, that's hilarious.
That's nice. You guys had a better time than I did.
I think it's hilarious that someone rolled up at like 3 in the morning and just started egging everything.
Yeah,
That was retaliation.
I'm perfectly okay with people doing that. That's fucking hilarious. But the fact that they came back and expected it to not do anything was even better.
Yeah.
And it was just like 13-year-old girls with like their 18-year-old sister driving the car. And they just got fucking pelted.
Nice. All right, so not necessarily Nintendo-related news, but just gaming news. They announced that they're going to make a Tetris movie.
Fuck
Now,
you. Fuck Hollywood.
I read very little about it, and what I did read, I could not understand what they were going to be trying to do with this. I don't know what your guys' initial reaction or perception or whatever. Now, I love Tetris. I'm like, at one point, I played Tetris every day for like 6 months. Recently, it was like nonstop. I love the game. It's classic,
Yeah.
But so my initial reaction to like reading what I did read, which I didn't really understand, was that sounds kind of weird / stupid. So I don't know what your guys' impressions are or anything like that. We'll start with John.
I actually know nothing about the Tetris movie. This is the first I've heard of it. I'm apparently super out of the loop. But what I do remember is the Tetris episode of Captain and the Game Master, which was fucking sweet. And if it's anything like that, I'm in for it.
Nice. Love that you brought up Captain N and the Game Master, because that show is just like amazing. It's an amazing part of my childhood, but if you go back and watch them, you just shake your head. Especially the whole Mega Man thing. Every time Mega Man talks, I want to punch him. Maybe that's
Mega high.
Yeah. Maybe that's just me. Scott, Tetris movie. Thoughts, feelings, emotions.
If it's like a documentary where it shows like the creation of the game up to like Thor Ackerland and the Nintendo World Championship, I'd be all for something like that. But if I heard correctly, it's like an actual like video game movie based on like the blocks are going to be falling on the screen and stuff. Did I hear that right? Is it actually?
Yeah, it's not a documentary. If you want to see a good Tetris documentary, watch Ecstasy of Order. It is an amazing documentary. It's done by Robin Mahara, who finished 3rd in the Nintendo World Championships. Really cool guy. He made a documentary with other people who I'm not going to give credit to because I just don't remember who. But it's this awesome Tetris documentary where he basically documents the history of the game and everything like that, and brings all these people together to have a Tetris World Championship, which I think it was either 2000. I want to say it was 2012 is when it took place. It might be 2010. I don't remember specifically. But anyway, so they show all of these just amazing, great Tetris players. And, it goes to like the climax of all of these players getting together and having this tournament. And Thor's in the movie. It's really, really well done. Like my wife, who doesn't like video games at all, not into it, I was like, hey, will you watch this with me? Because she likes documentaries. So she watched it and she was like, that was great. Like, I want to play Tetris now. And like, that's the cool thing about Tetris is everybody knows what Tetris is. Like, my parents know what Tetris is. They don't play video games, everybody knows what Tetris is. So when I read the thing about this, it kind of just seemed to me like you said, Scott, it seems like they're going to make it so Tetris pieces I'm thinking this is what I'm thinking. It's like the people or characters or whatever are inside of this game, and it revolves around the game somehow. I don't know. It just sounds to me like it's not gonna be cool. But Ecstasy of Order or Order of Ecstasy, I can't remember the order of the words, but it is a great documentary. You should check it out. What about you, Mike? Tetris movie. I know how you feel about it. Let's hear it.
Well, before I go off on the tangent, let me just quote myself by saying it's going to be a 2-hour block stacking shit fiasco.
You heard it here first. 2 outright.
Block stacking shit fiasco. Yes.
Okay.
Now, Eddie Murphy, Richard Simmons, and Bob Ross are going to be in this movie. That's the 3 stars. That's to start off.
But that's
Now.
Richard Simmons.
Yes.
Oh my god, I'm watching it.
Don't worry, they're not really gonna be in the movie. It's just
No,
Mike
no, no. Richard
quoting
Simmons is in the fucking movie. Don't you mess with
okay,
Richard Simmons.
so Bob Ross is gonna come from the fucking
Yes.
dead,
Yes.
with a fucking
With a joint.
with a joint in his hand, and
Yes.
he's gonna paint a fucking tree.
Yes, and it's going to be very lonely. We're going to need another one. Now,
We're
To go on from that-
we're gonna paint a
Don't tell anybody about the
happy
tree.
tree.
Don't
Happy
tell
tree.
anybody about it.
And we're gonna put a little friend next to him.
So
Yeah.
Mike's not a fan of the Tetris announcement. What about you, Chris?
I'm indifferent. I really don't care. Thing is, I don't know. Is this gonna be a live action or is this gonna be an animated movie?
I'm
What's the
thinking
word?
I think it's going to be live action, but I don't actually know.
No.
It would be kind of cool maybe if it was an animated film.
fuck
It being trying to make it into a movie, whatever. It's that video game is like the absolute pinnacle and perfect puzzle video game. I just feel like it shouldn't be fucked with. You know, like take a look at Super Mario Brothers, and then take a look at the Super Mario Brothers movie.
Say something about that movie.
Hey, hold
I
on.
mean-
I liked it. Okay,
That
I know a
movie
lot of
is
people
fucking
hated
great.
that movie.
I mean,
I was a little kid at the time.
So was I.
Yeah, I didn't know any better. But I mean,
That movie was
what do you
good.
want from me? Okay, I grew up. I was young. I had a Nintendo, and I had like 2 games, Mario and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. So I had nothing else to go with. All right.
Yeah, I mean, I just feel like there are certain things that should not be made into movies just because, and this is one of them.
Let's not forget about the great one, Double Dragon.
Double
Saw
Dragon.
that.
Yeah, I wasn't even gonna get into that. All of those: Double Dragon, Street Fighter, Mortal
No,
Kombat.
Mortal Kombat movies can go fuck themselves.
No.
So can
Come on.
fucking Tetris.
Street Fighter, Jean-Claude Van Damme as
Die.
Guile. That was just the
Fucking
best
die.
watching that.
Yeah.
It was horrible, I know, but it was just the best watching that.
See, that's what I mean.
I kind of wish he had the hair though. I wish his hair was
Yeah.
longer. That would have been great. I would have loved it. Having him like moose that fucking hair every time he had to do a scene, that would have been that would have been a laugh.
Definitely. Well, I mean, to me, Tetris is probably one of my. It's probably one of my favorite Nintendo games. It's definitely not my favorite, but that's pretty much going to segue nicely into what our main topic is here, which is just Nintendo collecting in general. Now, Scott and John both mentioned they both are serious Nintendo collectors and are both going for full sets, as am I. And, you know, you can almost like can't be a video game collector. I don't want to say you can't, but you almost can't be a video game collector without collecting Nintendo of some sorts. So let's talk about where we're at with our own Nintendo collections, like our feelings about our Nintendo. And we're just talking about original NES. We're not talking about Nintendo 64 or Super Nintendo or anything like that. Just original NES. And we'll start with Mike. We'll start with Mike and his experience with Nintendo collecting.
Nintendo collecting in general for me is fucking shitty because where we live, there's no Nintendo games. No one has Nintendo. You say the word, they pull out a DS. So I mean, I have about 20 games. Chris, shut your face.
I'm agreeing with you.
Okay. Staten Island sucks. People selling Nintendo cartridges on eBay are all fucking assholes.
Mike seems super bitter today on this podcast. Mike is just hating on everything today.
Atari for life. Yeah. I collect Nintendo 64, fucking Super Nintendo, anything that you can fucking think of. And we don't find any of it here.
That makes me sad for you. And Chris, is that your same story with you and Nintendo?
Pretty
Yours
much.
is a little different?
I only really have 40 games. That's it. I'm not really collecting Nintendo as of right now, trying to get like an actual, full set. Because for me right now, that's not even... I can't really do that. it's just too hard. Like Mike said, there's not really anything down here, any stores down here for us to go to. And if we do go down there, they're just charging an arm and leg. If we try going on Craigslist, more than half the time is just some guy
In the hood?
bullshitting you, because me and Mike have had experiences where we've gone and tried to see if we can get something for cheap, and it's really just some guy trying to screw you over.
Too good to be true.
Yeah, too good to be true. If we do want to try, we have to go on long trips. Like for me and Mike, for us, if we wanted to go into Manhattan, for instance, I mean, we could take an express bus. It's about an hour and a half ride for us, but it's like $6 going, $6 coming back. That could have went towards a game. If we wanted to take the long route, that's probably about a 3-hour ride, which is
3 hours my ass. It's fucking an hour and a half.
No. I'm talking about if you want to take the bus to the train to the ferry to the city, and then a subway.
That's for you. I have a car.
Yeah, you have a car. It's called your parents, okay?
Okay.
I don't have a car, and my roommate has a car, but he's not going to drive into the city. It's a nightmare.
It's a pain in the ass in general. You got to take.
So it's just hard for both of you to collect for original Nintendo.
It's
so you guys
very hard.
Get your hands on what you can.
Yeah.
And if we can get something, and if we go to Manhattan, it's going to be 4 times what you're going to pay for it if you find it in someone's garage sale.
A lot of times, yeah.
Yeah, I know. I totally understand. Well, like I said, I'm going for a full Nintendo set. Scott is, and John is. Now, there's something I wanted to ask Scott and John, just because it's like, when I first started collecting, I wasn't like, I'm going for a full Nintendo set. There came a point in Nintendo collecting where I was like, okay, let's do this. What was that point for each one of you? We'll start with Scott.
It's actually really funny. I don't know if anyone has ever seen. I was on a Game Chasers episode, a year or so back, and a couple years back actually at this point, and we actually walked into a room where there were 2 little Samsons, and at the time I didn't have it. But once I got to a point where I had, I would say, about 300 games, and looking back, I had not all of, but a good amount of the rare games. I kind of felt like I was over the hump, so I might as well finish. The other thing about collecting for Nintendo is it's so fun because I was so young when it came out that there were hundreds of games that I didn't hear about, and to know that they've existed for 20, 30 years and that I've never even heard of them was a really cool prospect, a really cool idea. So I wanted to see if I could get all of them. I still haven't gotten there yet, but it's a fun journey.
Yeah. What about you, John? Is that like similar kind of thing?
Yeah, pretty much. I'm in the same boat with Scott. I just wanted to play a Nintendo about 2 years back. And when my buddy had one from when he was a kid, he had a top loader and like 70 games. So I gave him $200 and he just shipped them all to me from Kentucky. And then I got them. There was a bunch of good shit in there, like both G.I. Joes, all 3 Ninja Gaidens, all 3 Double Dragons. And I'm like, fuck, dude, I need to get some more. Like, 70's not enough, Next thing I know, I have 400. And I'm like, might as well just go for all of them at this point. Fuck it. And then once you start getting, the expensive titles, it becomes addicting like crack. And then next thing you know, you got 15 Nintendo games taken apart. You're cleaning it. You never plan on playing, but
I'm exact same deal. When I first started collecting, it was Nintendo, just for nostalgic reasons. Nostalgia is strong, and had a Nintendo when I was a kid, so I went and I got all the games that I had. Then I got all the games I always wanted. Then I was getting all the games that like people would recommend, either in person or like on like their YouTube channel, that kind of thing. And my collection kept growing and growing, and around probably about the same as like Scott, around like 300-ish games, I was like, yeah, let's do this. Like, let's go for this. I already have all of these games. Let's just do it. The one thing I do find funny about trying to get a full Nintendo set is I make it a point, and I don't know if you guys do, I make it a point to play every single game before it goes on my shelf, even if it's for just like 5 minutes. Not even. Some not even. Do you guys do that? Do you guys pop in the game, even though you know it's going to be a bad game? Do you still just like pop it in for a second, or there's sometimes you're just like, I know this is bad, it's just going on the shelf?
I sometimes try to play all of them, but there are those games that really like make you want to see what the fuck is this, like Dudes with Attitudes. Like, it is the stupidest fucking game.
Dudes with attitudes.
Yeah,
Yes.
you're like a smiley face bouncing around colors, like trying to knock out crystals. It's the weirdest fucking shit in the world. But like, I don't really play all of them. Like stuff like Hills Far and the Dungeons and Dragons games. I can't get into a 70-hour wandering fest. You know, that I can't tell what shit is.
I'm not saying sit there and play the game like to completion or thoroughly, because I'm the same way with the Koei games. I will not sit there and play those games. I'm not a fan of those, like the real-time strategy games like Bandit Kings of Ancient China and Nobunga's Ambition and that kind of thing. But I still will pop them in for a second, just so, one, I know that they work, but two, at some point I'm going to be like, or if you came over to my house right now, I'll be like, I've played all of these games. I've played them all, and it's not a lie, even if it's just for like, 2 minutes. What about you, Scott? Do you ever get games and just put them on the shelf? Are you at that point where it's just like, okay, I'm just collecting this to collect it?
Well, I do play games, but I'm not one of those like super purists who has to play it on the CRT TV and all that, because the thing is I think that sometimes people segregate themselves within a hobby. Like, I'm a hardcore gamer, or I'm an RPG guy, or I'm a Sega guy or a Nintendo guy. At the end of the day, we all like video games. And with me, with Nintendo, I guess to specifically answer, I try to play as much as I can, but I'm very limited on time. I go to school full-time, I work full-time, all that jazz. So if I'm going to play, I make sure that it's something I really want to play. So I'll actually find myself going back and beating Contra 3 or 4 times before I'll put in a game that I'm not sure that I'll like. I like to make sure that whatever time I'm going to spend, that it's doing exactly what I want to do and not really taking that risk that I might not enjoy myself.
Yeah, no, I totally get that. And I'm glad you brought up Contra, because I have another fun fact about John. John he's done it multiple times, but he recently recorded a no-death run on Contra and has uploaded it, which I think is quite impressive. How long did it take you to become that sick at Contra?
I don't know. I've been playing Contra over the years. It started out, obviously when I was a kid, and then I had it on an emulator when I was a teenager, and I've had multiple people tell me that I can't beat Contra without the code, and
me too.
Having to prove myself 1,000 fucking times. And recently someone on Facebook told me that Contra was damn near impossible, and I was like, fuck you, dude, I can beat that shit without dying. So he said, video or it didn't happen. And I've, finally had to sit down and just finally do it. It took me probably 4 or 5 runs to actually get the no-death run the first time. But once you, figure out all the little nuances, obviously the patterns, how every Nintendo game is, it's really not that hard anymore. It's just a matter of how fast you can press the buttons.
Yeah, no, I'm totally there with you, because Contra's one of those games for me, too, where I can beat the game, no code, no continues. I cannot beat the game, no death run, though. That is beyond impressive to me. So John mentioned, what was it, Dudes with Attitudes.
Yes, unfortunately.
What are some weird Nintendo games that just stick out to you that you're just like, you either didn't know it existed, or you can't believe that it exists, or just anything like that? Because I know for me, I've definitely come across some that I'm just like, oh, I didn't know this existed, or it's like Dudes with Attitudes. Scott, do you have any games that like fit that type of...
The Venetian games really caught me off guard. I actually didn't know they existed until probably maybe a year or 2 ago. I had no idea that Nintendo made porno games, or not Nintendo, but that they're on Nintendo.
Yeah, just any. So the porno games are definitely one. What about you, John? You got any other Dudes with Attitudes for us?
I do, actually. One of my favorite games on the system, just because it's so fucking outlandish, is Baby Boomer. You guys ever played Baby Boomer?
Yes.
No.
For those of you guys who don't know what it is, if you've ever played Gumshoe, it's kind of the same thing. The dude walks forward and you have to shoot down enemies and shoot down bridges so he can walk across, but this is a fucking baby. and
It's a
just crawls
zapper.
forward.
It's a zapper
Yeah.
game too.
You have to like shoot the milk so it doesn't like run out of nutrition and stuff. And like as you get through the levels, seriously, it's crazy. As you get through the levels, like the baby starts crawling through hell and stuff, and there's like demons and snakes and shit trying to bite this fucking baby. Dude, it's awesome.
That's great.
And it's 2 players.
I have to
That's
get
the
that.
Tetris movie. Fuck
It's-
you all.
I would not say you have to get this, Chris, because it's an unlicensed game. It's not cheap for. I mean, it's like it's probably between like $30 and $50 now for a shitty game. So it kind of is. It goes in that category for me of games that I would never ever think about buying unless I was going for a full set. There would be no reason for me to buy that game.
Baby Boomer is like that beat movie that you just want to watch all the time. It's like the Evil Dead of unlicensed games.
The one that caught me the most off guard, licensed games, that I was like, wait, this is real? Like, this exists? And most people know about it, is Color a Dinosaur. It's just so awful. It's a horrible game. I guess I understand why it exists, like, for kids back in the day, but just trying to play it now, you're just like, oh, wow. This is horrible. But the unlicensed game that kind of curveballed me was Trolls on Treasure Island. I don't know if you guys have ever played that game.
I have not, but I've seen it, and it just looks fucking weird.
Yeah, it's like a puzzle game where you run around like it's like the troll is on speed or something and runs like 1,000,000 miles an hour and tries to like collect these gems, and it's just a completely awful. One that sticks out to me is Operation Secret Scout, or Operation Secret Storm. I mean, that's the one with Saddam Hussein is on the cover, and you are like some type of, you know, G.I. Joe type character, and you're going to actually try to like kill Saddam Hussein.
I need it.
Like legit Saddam Hussein, not just like a character Saddam Hussein, like Saddam Hussein.
Interesting.
Isn't that game like absolutely terrible?
Yeah, it's awful. The controls on it are awful. Pretty much everything about it's awful.
Chris, look up the cover.
Are you just seeing Operation Secret
No,
Storm?
I'm seeing Saddam fucking Hussein.
That's what I'm saying.
Secret Storm. What the? It's just Saddam Hussein. There's like fire underneath him. What the hell?
Yeah, it's pretty like wow, amazing.
I gotta say, this is probably Grimsey's favorite game. You can see how quiet he is.
Yeah.
No,
That's from Hyrule.
actually have never played it, and I was quite disappointed because I saw a video on it where somebody said at the end of it, you fight a 200-foot Saddam Hussein. So I'm like all excited, and I watch a video, and it's like 2 pixels taller than your character. It's not even tall. And he transforms into a helicopter, then he turns back into Saddam, then he turns back into a helicopter. You should watch a video. It's weird. And no, I've never played it, and I have no intention of playing it.
That's awesome.
So we went from devil eating babies
Yeah.
to fucking Saddam Hussein 200 feet tall.
And that's ridiculous. This cartridge goes for $50 to
$100.
$100. That's insane.
Complete
Yeah,
and bust.
unlicensed games are hard to pin down prices on. I don't know. Have you guys noticed that, like John and
Yeah.
Scott, as far as there's, you know, with a licensed game, you know, the market you can get within like about $10 plus or minus. Unlicensed, it seems like the market is huge gap between like a variant of like $50 or something. So it's like hard to gauge. Like, hey, did I get a good deal on this? Am I overpaying on this? You know, it's weird with those unlicensed ones, you know?
I think the reason behind that, though, is because there's less people interested in them, and believe it or not, there's less of them. A lot of people may not really care about, you know, like that Trolls on Treasure Island or a game like that, but there are so few of them. I mean, some of those games are like super obscure. I actually think there's probably less Panesian games than Surprise Dinosaur Peak, but it's such a niche market that no one really, it's a smaller amount of people that look for them, and I think that's how they can control the prices online, because it's not as popular that they can establish pricing.
Yeah, I would definitely agree that there's less of like almost any unlicensed game than like Dinosaur Peak, for example.
Yeah, you don't really have a bunch of people going out there looking for copies of Castle of Deceit. Because no one knows what the fuck that game is.
Right. Yeah, and that game is also crazy, stupid expensive. Let's talk about games that you have spent maybe more than you'd care to admit on, and got the game and thought maybe the gameplay would be one thing, and it turns out to be something totally different, whether it's good or bad. Like, if my spent a lot of money, but it was a good game for me, has to be Little Samson. You know, it was. I heard great things about it. I know it's kind of like hyped up, that kind of thing. So I got the game, and I wasn't disappointed. Now, it was pricey. I wasn't necessarily too thrilled with how much I did pay, whatever. But as far as the gameplay goes, I was like all about it. Now, other games where I spent a decent amount, and like Action 52. I knew going into Action 52 that it was a piece of shit. I knew it was awful. Yet I still went out and spent, I think I spent maybe $150 on it, knowing how awful it was. Do you guys have any of those, like, spent money on a game and you just know it's awful?
I dropped $60 taking my buddy out to a fancy restaurant because he was in town. Same guy who sold me my Nintendo. And he's like, I'll give you this game in exchange. I'm like, sweet, I can't wait to get this home. I pop in Contra Force, and it is just a big fucking pile of shit. You figure, at least with a Contra license, it's gotta be somewhat decent. No. You use that guy with the bombs, good fucking luck, dude. You're not killing anybody.
Yeah, I tried to give Contra Force the benefit of the doubt, which is, I'm sure, what you did too, John. You're just kind of like, I've heard some bad things about this, but it's a Contra game. It can't be that bad. So I went into it all optimistic, and I gave up. Probably, I don't think I beat the first level. Not out of skill, out of just like, I'm not playing this crap.
But yeah, you get two people on the screen and you got frame rate issues already.
Yeah.
Sadly, I played it to completion, and I'm very upset that I did.
What about a game that you bought and you might have spent a decent amount on, and then it turns out to be a great game?
A year ago I bought Bucky O'Hare for $20, and I thought I was overpaying. That was obviously wrong. But Bucky O'Hare is a great one. And my brother told me about it. He was older than I am, and he got into some of the stuff like that. And he told me about Bucky O'Hare. I found it at a store. I picked it up, put it in, and I was very impressed with that game. Absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, it's a good one. Another good one that I think I spent decent money on, and I didn't really know too much about it. And then I started playing it, and I couldn't put it down, is Cowboy Kid. I don't know if you guys have ever played Cowboy Kid. It's very similar to, similar playstyle as like Legend of the Mystical Ninja for Super Nintendo, where it's like kind of side-scrolling, and you can go up and down between screens. And you like pick up weapons and items, and you like buy shit. It's like a Legend of the Mystical Ninja, but it's 8-bit, and it's like Western instead of like Japanese.
I've never played that game. Sadly, it's one of the ones that I don't own. If I remember correctly, it's pretty pricey.
Yeah.
Like $100, something like that.
Have you ever played that one, Scott?
I own it. I actually got that off of Kevin Air Force Shields that I mentioned earlier. I've yet to play it. It does look interesting, and I did hear that it was good, so it's on my list of games to play. But no, I haven't given that one any time. Bucky is really good, though. To agree on that one, I will give that one.
What about games that you either knew nothing about or thought would be okay and ended up turning out horrible, Scott? Do you have any of those?
Two games that I knew would be turds, but I bought anyway. For those who can see, will kind of know. But for those who can't see, I actually did purchase Hot Slots. Luckily, I got it in a lot, so I didn't pay too terrible of a price. If you break it down cart by cart, I actually got it for under $100, so I was totally okay with that. And then the NES test cartridge. Obviously, there is absolutely no purpose for it. I mean, it literally is useless, but unless I want to know if my Nintendo is working. But I bought those, again, just being a collector, which I do like to say I'm a collector over playing. If I could do one or the other, I wouldn't play, I would collect, because the art of collecting is more fun, the chase, the hunt, all that. But as far as a game that I paid a lot and I knew what I was getting, probably the third or fourth time that I purchased Suikoden 2. For whatever reason, when I was younger, I would buy that game and play it to death and then get rid of it and miss it and buy it back, and it kept getting more and more expensive. So the last time I paid $100 for it, I said, all right, I'm keeping it. I'm not going to rebuy this for the 5th time, but that's one that I knew I was going to spend a lot of money, but I knew I was getting a really good game.
Yeah. One that I thought I was getting a good game, and it just wasn't for me, and I hear mixed things about it. Some people still love it, is Zombie Nation. I heard it was going to be like pretty cool. I got it, I put it in, and immediately I was just like, what the fuck is this? You're like a floating head that's like shooting like your eyeballs and like puking or tongue or something. I don't even know what the other attack is. And I understand people do like the game. And I like shooters, and I just was like, oh man, I can't believe I got this now. But I mean, it's cool. I'm happy I got it because I'm trying to get every game, you know. But I was definitely disappointed with it.
James and Mike just did a Let's Play of that, didn't they?
Yeah.
My favorite Let's Play they did was the one on Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. You guys should check that one out.
I did.
Yeah, definitely.
Everybody was in there, yeah.
That's actually a game that I love.
When they did a Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde revisited not too long ago, I believe you were on that video, were you not, Scott?
Yeah, you may have found me somewhere in the end. That is one of the few times I could say I was important through somebody who was important. But yeah, that was pretty cool. It was a little nerve-wracking though, because I was one of the last ones to try the game out, and you've got everybody else playing, and I'd never played it in my entire life. And now here I am plopping down next to James, and it's like, all right, pick up the controller and don't screw up. So I did decent. They obviously edited a lot of it out to, obviously fit it within the time frame, but I did pretty good for never playing before. I guess it was advantageous to watch everybody else make mistakes, so I knew what not to do.
You guys were playing the barrel level on that, weren't you?
It was the last level, yeah.
Yeah, that level was a bitch.
Yeah, that's a game I still I haven't taken the time to like figure out what the deal with it actually is.
It's broken.
Yeah,
It's a shit fest.
That's pretty much like my assumption with it too. One other game came to mind that is just like an amazingly awesome game that when I bought it, I heard good things about it, but I didn't really know. And it was definitely a pricey game. It's Power Blade 2. Power Blade 2 is an amazing game. It's so good. Like the controls on it are great. The music's great. The graphics for Nintendo are great. And like I said, I spent a decent amount of money on it, and getting it, I really didn't know what I was getting into, and I was surprisingly excited about it after I got to play it.
Yeah, everything Taito made back then was like in that era was just like golden. It was like Capcom in their prime. I actually think Part 1 is a better game, but there are some things about 2 that are really good and unique to that title. I really wish they would have made one for the Super Nintendo. I would have liked to see it with upgraded graphics. Yeah,
it definitely is a game series that they should have continued on. Kind of like Strider. Like, I loved that they continued on Strider, not necessarily on Super Nintendo, but like the Genesis one, I loved.
PlayStation one was really good also.
Exactly. Yeah, it would have been nice. I think it could have gone like that same type of direction, All three of us are getting pretty close. John said he needed about, he's right at about the 100 mark. Is that right, John? You're getting there?
Yeah, I'm at 666, so I don't know what count everyone's going by. My count says 773. I know that's wrong, because it includes the Aladdin deck enhancer and shit like that. I want to say it's, 758, licensed and unlicensed?
I'm doing the 768 one, is the one I'm trying to go for. It's 677 licensed, 91 unlicensed.
Okay, yes.
It does not count the Aladdin games other than the one Dizzy game, which is a unique game. It does count the Panesian games. It does not count the Nintendo World Championships.
Oh, come on, you don't want to drop $25,000 on one of those?
Then it's not a licensed collection. Fuck you.
It's not that I don't want to drop 25 grand on it. One thing though that John's doing that is a little more advantageous than myself and Scott. Not that I don't have or sort of collect boxed games, but John's trying to get a full boxed Nintendo set. Let's talk about that for a second, John.
I'm not really so much trying to get everything boxed. It's just that I'm at a point where you and Scott obviously know that once you need just the expensive games, it just drains your bank account. So I just started getting boxes instead to improve the value of my collection while not spending $150 on one item at a time.
Yeah, you still have probably more boxed Nintendo games than most people I know in general, and anytime I get a box game, I immediately think of you and hit you up, and 9 times out of 10, you take it, I would think that would be scary, the whole box thing. To me, it just seems like it's... I did it for Super Nintendo, and I did it a couple years before Super Nintendo really blew up. Super Nintendo is when I first started collecting, and I was like, screw it, I'm going to get all these complete in box. So I have a lot of the Super Nintendo big titles in box. If I were to do that today, I would not do that today. It just seems to me like a lot to pay for cardboard. Do you ever feel that way, or do you just avoid that aspect of it altogether?
It's certainly scary trying to get some of the bigger titles and just dropping $80 on a piece of fucking cardboard. But I get a lot of my boxes through trades on Instagram, and I've gotten stuff like a complete Hills Far off of there. I got
trades on Instagram.
Oh yeah, there's a huge retro community on Instagram, and
Chris gets a lot of his box off of Craigslist Casual Encounters. So you use Instagram for your boxes.
Mail seeking mail all the time.
But yeah, if you guys really want to get NES stuff, like you guys in New York and you can't find it anywhere, I seriously suggest making an Instagram account. I've probably done 70 or 80 trades on there, and they've all gone super smooth. Like you come home and you have a big package sitting in your mailbox, and it's
big packages in the mailbox.
Dude, yeah, that's right.
You're talking Mike's
boxes,
language
mailboxes.
John brings up a good point about Instagram, though. It really is. So it took me forever from one of mine and John's mutual friends, Bobby, harassing me to get on Instagram. He probably harassing me, and I mean that in like a nice way, of course. Every time he saw me, are you on Instagram yet? Like, come on, you got to get on Instagram. You got to. And one night I was out giving him some games, and he's like, did you get Instagram yet? And I was like, all right, dude, let's just do this. Like right now, we were like out at a bar. I was meeting him at a bar and giving him like Nintendo games, which I don't know if you've ever done that, but it was a huge hit. Bringing like all these Nintendo games. I had like a big stack to a bar. Everyone was like freaking out, like, oh my god, like look at these, like just being idiots about it, I didn't realize or expect that reaction. But anyway, I decided to make an Instagram account right then, and I've never regretted it since. John's completely right. There's a really cool, good collecting community within Instagram. I've actually had nothing but positive experiences through doing the little Instagram trades and even purchases that I have.
How do you usually go about that, actually? Do you just post a picture up of what you have and say, these are up for trade?
Yeah, basically. Every Friday, the retro community has their little hashtag for Trade Friday. So, Friday comes along, and throughout the day, your feed will blow up with just stuff that people are trying to trade away. And after you see something that you want, you usually private message the person, and you'll come to an agreement or something like that. And then basically you just send it through the mail with the trust that the other guy will send it back. But the thing about the retro community is someone rips you off, like, you just make a post about it, and he's blacklisted instantly, because it spreads like wildfire. So really on there now is just all the people who are, super cool about trading. It's kind of like the Nintendo Age forums. Like, everybody knows who's good with trade, who's easy and stuff. and it's super awesome. It's a really easy way to get a lot of the stuff you normally wouldn't see.
I definitely am like kicking myself for waiting as long as I waited to get onto it. Because who knows how much great and awesome stuff I missed. John actually just got something not too long ago from Instagram. You want to tell everybody what you got and how you got it through Instagram?
Yeah. I was browsing the NES hashtag at like 4 in the morning, and this like 31-year-old single mom was moving out of her apartment, and she took a picture of her Nintendo stuff that she was, gonna pull out and hook up and see if it still worked. And she had a game with a yellow label that I couldn't read it, so I asked her, I'm like, hey, what's that game above X-Men? And she's like, oh, it's some Flintstones game that, I hate. And I'm like, well, if you hate it so much, you want to sell it to me? And she goes, yeah, I'll sell it to you. So I run into my game room, and I look at my The Rescue of Dino and Hoppy, and the labels are completely different. And I'm like, son of a bitch, that's a Dinosaur Peak. How much do you want for it? And I was gonna get it for $25. And you can see what your followers are liking and commenting on. And somebody saw what I wrote and sent this bitch a DM and tipped her off on how much it was worth.
Why are you happy about this?
Yeah, fuck you, man.
Did you forget to mute?
It was Mike. Mike is your hater.
It's cool. I mean, you can hate all you want. But I emailed the lady about it, and she's like, if you wouldn't have told me, I would have never even knew what this game was. So she's like, if you want it, I'll sell it to you for a good price. So I picked it up for $300, which still wasn't bad. I just sold off a bunch of extra shit in my collection and, paid for it that way. So yeah, I'm in the Dinosaur Peak Club now. Yippee.
Kind of sucks that you couldn't get it for that 25 though.
Oh, dude, I was absolutely furious all day. Like,
did you ask her who private messaged her?
Yes, I did, and she would not tell me.
Oh, I would have fucking told her.
Yeah, you can't blame her. You can't.
Yeah.
But you can't blame you for trying either.
And she was okay about that. She's like, it's basically a garage sale type thing. No one knows what they're selling. And I was pissed.
Yeah, still, that's a good price to pay for that game, for sure. It's like half price, if not maybe even a little bit better.
Yeah, I was perfectly okay with dropping $300 on it.
Yeah. Well, Scott is almost very near the end of his collecting. You said you needed 4 licensed games. I'm going to take a stab at the 4 licensed games you need.
Okay.
One of them is certainly Stadium Events.
Well, that was the easiest guess, so yeah.
That was the easiest one. Now, the other ones, I don't think they're any of like the big ones. They're probably just some really random, weird ones. Is that about right?
They're all in the $100 range. Give or take.
I'm going to say one of them is Snow Brothers.
That is correct. I've gotten burned on that game like 3 times. The first time I got burned on it, it's actually a funny story because they all link together. I went to MagFest last year, and I was staying in the same hotel room as the Game Chasers, and Pat the NES Punk was in there, and he always brings stuff to sell, at the conventions, and they beat me to it by like 5 minutes. And he sold it to Billy for $100. Yeah, and then Jay actually picked up another one of the games that Jay got. Is still to this day one of the 4 licensed that I'm missing. But what really bothered me about that is I kind of was like, all right, got burned on it, cried about it the whole weekend. And then right after that, Boomstick229, who was with us, goes home and makes a video of her most wanted games and says Snow Brothers is her most wanted game. And a reseller friend of mine saw that video, hit her up, and sold it to her for a very good price. So literally, she took my pain and used it as her opportunity, and right in front of me, there goes another copy of Snow Brothers. I mean, I know it's on eBay for like $170 or whatever, but
is that really what it goes for now?
Yeah.
Damn.
This close to the end, I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna get it at a good price. I don't care if it's the last game I get, but Snow Brothers, Stadium Events, 2 more. What are we missing?
Action 50. I was gonna say it, but I don't want to piss him off.
Action 52.
Oh, I have that.
We know Scott has Action 52.
I have it.
And we all know Scott's reaction to
Yeah, I was
Game
gonna.
Chasers getting Action 52.
People think it was a jealousy thing, and it's not. Like, I mean, I don't know if people realize I'm a chemist. I could go buy stadium events right now and not miss my mortgage. It's not money. It's value of game versus quality of game. And I just, to see my friends stand there and have somebody walk up and go, hey, thanks for putting videos on YouTube. Here's a $150 game. Oh, and you can have one too. And have a camera right on my face. I'd like to see anybody see that happen right in front of them and go, you know,
Yeah.
obviously you know, I didn't know the camera was there. They actually came up to me afterwards. Melvor pulled me aside and he says, Scott, you got to see this. And I was like, you son of a bitch. I had no idea.
Yeah, your reaction is not jealousy. Your reaction is, you gotta be
Fuck
fucking
you.
kidding.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it is. It's you motherfuckers. Because that's the same MagFest where right before that, like literally that day, Billy got the Snow Brothers. So I was like,
You were getting the 1-2 punch left and right there, you know?
yeah, the other two W's, Wacky Races and
Wayne's World. Yep. Wacky Races is not that bad.
Well, it's a fun game.
Yeah, it is a fun game. It's a decent game. Wayne's World is not a fun game.
No.
Not at all.
The funny thing too, and I don't know why, but a lot of people are super ultra competitive with this collecting thing, and that's one thing that, you know, when like I go out game hunting with some of the better known people or whatever, and they're diving over each other and stuff. At Con Bravo, Alpha Omega Sin actually picked up a copy of Wacky Races, and I actually showed him that it was there. It's not like, if I see it, I don't have to have it. The situation has to be right for me. And the price was, I think it was like $100 Canadian, which is reasonable. I actually wound up picking up Challenge of the Dragon from that same vendor, but you know, it's one of those things where everybody keeps saying, well, oh, you're missing this one or you're missing that one. How come? Those were the ones that I haven't run into at the right price yet. You know, I'm not really a retail collector, and I don't care if I stay at 16 to complete for the rest of my life. If I don't see them at the right price, I'm not going to pick them up.
Yeah. Well, you brought up two things I want to talk about. The first one is like the competitiveness of it. As far as like complete Nintendo collecting, I look at it, and I'm sure you and John could probably both attest to at least my perspective of it, is more like a camaraderie and like this like I don't want to say like brotherhood and eliminate like females from that, but just like anyone who goes for a full Nintendo collection, I look at them more as like, I'm going to do everything I can to help this person, and it's usually reciprocated just out of like, it's kind of like a I don't know what the word I'm looking for here is, but like a brotherhood kind of thing where it's just like, let's do this together and help each other out. And I found that not only with you, Scott, and with you, John, but with like a bunch of other guys like Terry and Tyler, Retro Rat even recently. I have probably a couple other guys. There's another guy locally. And it's like we just like to help each other out and try to, I'm like, send me your list, you know, like I'll look for you. And like I love that aspect of it. It's like the opposite of like the competitiveness is like my approach to it. And I'd say that's both of yours and John's approach to it too. The one thing though about the haven't found games yet, this kind of thing, is when Scott sent me a list, he was probably at about, I don't know what it was, 40 or 50 games, and he sends me this list, and it has games like Stadium Events and Snow Brothers and all this stuff on it. And there was one game on there, and I kind of like busted his balls a little bit. It was Totally Rad, and I was like, Scott, you need Totally Rad? You're down to like 40 games. Like, come on, man. Sure enough, I get down to about 40 games. Totally Rad is still eluding me. I was like, I finally get it, and I tell Scott I get it, and I'm like, I will never do that again to anybody ever. It was like such like karma slapping me in the face. So I won't bust anybody's balls for needing like a super, not even super, because that game's not super easy to find. Apparently not if it took you and me that long. But a game that you think is going to be super easy to find, I won't bust anybody's balls about it, because that's just how it works out sometimes.
For me, it was strategic collecting, though, and there's a few ways to go about it. I didn't want to be that guy that bought all the expensive games in the beginning and then burned myself out and had nothing to look forward to. And at the same time, I didn't want to be that guy that bought all the $5 games like, an 8-bit Eric would do. And now he's sitting there with 500 plus games, but only a handful of them are anything to, shake a leg at. With me, it was, again, base it all on opportunity. I would actively pursue a certain game now and again, but it would be more of a type of thing where I would look at the game and I would say, this is, a $30 game and it's 15. That's a yes. And that would be how I decided to get it. And I guess to forgive Boomstick a little bit, she actually gave me the copy of Totally Rad that I have. So
Nice.
she does feel bad. And that's the thing where I jokingly, I teased her, I teased Billy, but at the end of the day, I'm actually happy for them. And the same thing would go even with stadium events. If one of my friends got stadium events, I'm not going to be jealous. I'm happy for them, because, like you said, it's camaraderie. And the main aspect to me about collecting is the community. It's having a lot of friends that share a similar interest and helping each other out. I mean, like you said, Tyler and Terry, they've been awesome. They sent me Color a Dinosaur. I actually got my Action 52 from them. I've sent them some games. Actually got to a point where they were missing a certain amount of games, and I actually grabbed a few of them that I still needed and sent them to them, just because they had been so awesome to me. You gotta look out for people that look out for you.
Yeah, for sure. And that goes with not even just going for complete collecting or anything. I try to do that with all collectors, and I try to give good prices. Like Chris and I were talking last night, and I was showing him some of my doubles, and I basically was like, Chris, tell me what you want, and I'll try to give you good prices.
Yeah.
And that's basically when it comes to that, I try to sell and trade like I want to be sold and traded to. And you do that enough, it kind of puts you out there like that, and it just comes back around the same way, What else do you still need on the unlicensed? Because you're close on that too.
Yeah, I want to say I'm down to 12 games. Obviously, Cheetahman 2, which is just like, hey, lucky me. Keltron, but then there's some smaller ones like Big Nose Freaks Out or Bible Buffet that aren't, super expensive. I think the reason I'm missing so many unlicensed, though, is you just do not see them. And when you do, they're always more than they should be, because people can almost get away with asking whatever they want for them. And a lot of unlicensed games, even a game like Captain Comic, if you go search how many are on eBay right now, there's maybe 15. And the black cart, there might not be any. So in situations like that, people can charge whatever they want. So I tend to try to pick those up from friends or, resellers I can trust who will give me a fair price.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at too. I think I need 8 or 9 licensed games, but my unlicensed games, I need about 19, because I also don't actively look for those, and even if I am, you just don't find them, or you find them and they're overpriced or just priced, and you're just like, no, I'm not doing that, because I know most of those unlicensed games, with the exception of a couple, just the gameplay in general is crappy, and I know I'm never going to play it.
There's probably 3 or 4 that are tolerable, and the rest are all terrible.
Yeah,
there's a reason Nintendo wouldn't put their stamp on it.
One that was super surprising is Shockwave. I really like Shockwave. It's like a puzzle game. Don't know if you've ever played it. That was one that I put in, and I was just like, whoa, this game's actually like pretty fun. Don't get me wrong, it's not like absolutely amazing, but for an unlicensed game, I was super surprised.
Another unlicensed game that's actually pretty decent is Crazy Creatures. If you guys have ever played that. It's kind of like a 2-player puzzle game where you can either go against each other or you can cooperate to try and finish the game. It's definitely an interesting title. If you have a buddy, especially if you're drunk, that adds quite a bit to the value.
That is one thing. John does enjoy drunken gaming quite often. He drinks a lot while doing pickup videos. It's pretty amusing. I'm a fan of it.
The thing that most people don't know is I really don't drink at all, aside from putting shit up on YouTube and, occasionally I'm at a bar.
That's why you do a YouTube video every day, though, right?
Oh, yeah, because I put so many up in the last 6 months. I think I put up one, and it was a fucking Contra video. Like, I've gotten emails, people are like, you're just a drunken 30-year-old who wants to relive his childhood. I'm like, dude, you probably had more drinks, in you the past 2 days than I've had all year. But I mean, it's a perception thing, and it's whatever. People are gonna hate. I guess it is what it is.
You're always gonna have the haters.
Yeah, gotta ignore the haters.
No, they're amusing. I love them.
Me too.
They're the best.
I have super thick internet skin, so haters typically never even get to me at all.
They don't get to me either, especially Chris and his shit.
Yeah. Okay.
Always gonna be a hater.
Yeah. Always gonna be a hater.
If you don't have haters, you're doing something wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I just don't really feed them. I'll comment one time on someone's troll comment, logically, if need be, and then after that, I don't go any further.
I love fighting with the haters. Like, if they write, your mother's a fat bitch, I'll go, okay, she's a moose too.
Nice.
Without haters, YouTube wouldn't be fun.
Actually, hey Grimsy, how do you go about the haters? Do you respond back or do you just ignore?
Honestly, I'm pretty lucky. I don't have a lot. I've had a few similar to the whole, find something better to do than collect video games. Or at the end of the day, what you really have to think about is not so much what they're saying or why they're saying it, but what type of a person has so much time on their hands and so bored that they could go on a YouTube video and scrutinize every little detail. They've got nothing better to do than to go tell you how horrible you are that you could be helping somebody. A good response would have been, why don't you cancel your internet and use that $50 a month to feed these starving children that you're so desperately trying to find food for? It's just people trying to make you feel like shit. And at the end of the day, the reason is because they feel like shit and they have no avenue to express themselves. Maybe their parents didn't love them, or they were underprivileged, and now they feel like they need to share that pain. I think the best thing you can do is just be the opposite of what they are. If somebody messages you and you don't have 20 minutes to spend talking to them, so what? Take the time, treat people like people, and you're going to see a lot more good than bad. And I think that's reflective. The amount of trolls, no matter who you are, you can look at some of the most hated people on YouTube. Even their dislike ratio is not that bad. The trolls they're rarities. There's not that many of them, and just ignore them. They're nobody. They're not nothing to worry about.
Mm-hmm. The one thing I found about YouTube actually making videos, and I gained a lot of respect for all the guys that put a lot of time, is the editing. Like, if you have ever sat down and tried to edit a fucking video, like, even if you're good at it and you're well versed in your whatever program you decide to use, it still takes a ridiculous amount of time. And some of these guys like James and like even Billy the Game Chasers, he has to put a shitload of time into those videos. And it's just, I have a super amount of respect for those guys that can do that. So I sat down and tried to make, some decent special effects. Like 6 hours later, I've gotten nowhere. And I'm like, well, fuck this. Like, I can't do it. But for all those guys out there that can do it, like, it's super appreciated because it's awesome.
That's another thing too, is like, honestly, we all who make videos do it out of like the love and passion of the hobby and doing it, and we do it for free. It's like a labor of love. I edit my videos very sparsely, and it could take as little as half hour, but it could take like multiple, like 5 hours sometimes, but I only do it because like I just love the hobby so much, and that's another thing, is like all these people who do these like bigger production videos, they're doing it just out of like the love. And it's like John was saying, I super appreciate that they're doing it for free, essentially. Even if they're monetized, it's not, nobody makes money they can live on, but it's just out of like the love and passion of this hobby, which, and that's kind of like what Scott was touching on. That's kind of why we all do it to begin with, is just for the passion of it. So that's pretty much all I have for the Nintendo collecting. I don't know if anybody has anything they would like to add.
How do you guys feel about Atari?
Atari was before my time, so like I was probably 3 when Atari was dying, and I just never really got into it. So, it's okay. I'm just I don't have that nostalgia factor that I had for Nintendo.
That's the same exact thing as me.
Yeah, just copy and paste what he said with my voice, and it's nothing personal. I mean, I can appreciate its historical significance, and I owned one. I picked one up when I was like 14 at a garage sale for like $2 with like 30 games, and I played it for maybe an hour. I think a lot of what drives retro video game collectors, and it's not a complete stereotype, but for the most part, is remembering your childhood and what those easy days and the feelings and memories you had when you were a kid, and picking up that cartridge kind of takes you back there. So I think it's more or less just that I was born a few years too late to get into Atari.
Yeah, and Mike, you have to remember too, there's no right or wrong way to collect, man. That's really, it's whatever makes like you happy, And nostalgia is what got me into collecting and what got me into Nintendo and what drove me toward original Nintendo. But that's not to say like, someone like you're 15, Atari was like dead and gone before you were even born. I think that's awesome that you're that into Atari. I think it's great. So
a lot of people like the simplicity to it. I guess statement, if you will. I guess for me, it's I'll say something similar to what I said at the panel that I was a part of at Retropalooza, and it's the best advice I could give anybody who collects or potentially collects. Don't collect video games for any reason other than your own reasons. Don't let a video on YouTube control what you buy, or one of us saying Nintendo is cool or another saying Atari is cool, because at the end of the day, if you're doing this to be cool or to fit in, you're doing it for the wrong reason. Collect what you want and do it the way you want to do it. Don't succumb to peer pressure, because at the end of the day, if you don't enjoy what you're doing, you're just going to regret what your decisions. You're going to have a lot of games sitting on your shelf that you don't want, and you're probably going to be that guy unloading them on Craigslist that all the vultures will take advantage of. So it's a marathon. It's not a sprint. Take your time.
yeah, it's well said. Like there's no wrong way, Well, I really appreciate Scott and John taking the time to come on the podcast. I hope you guys had a good time.
I did. Thanks for having me, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, definitely.
My pleasure.
Definitely. I think we're right at about that time. Anybody have any closing thoughts? We'll start with Chris.
Same as what you just said. I'd like to thank Grimsie and John here for giving their time. And yeah, as what Grimsie was saying, don't just get into something because it's big right now. Do it because you love it, and that's basically it.
What about you, Mike? Any carrot thoughts for us?
Actually, yes. I was going to say thank you guys for being a part of this podcast, but unless you didn't know, carrots were actually purple up until the 1780s, and tomatoes are fruit. So eat your vegetables, watch the Auras for Retro podcast, and
watch it.
Matt's Beard free mustache rides. Have a nice night.
All day. How about you, Scott?
Well, no, it was definitely fun to be a part of this. I want to say this is my second ever podcast. I don't even know if they aired the last one that I did with a guy. He just randomly hit me up one day, and I like that you guys stuck with this. I know you had Tyler from Luigi Freakout on one of your episodes, and when I talked to Wood, he was excited. He wanted to be a part of it. So, I mean, those are signs of good things to come. Obviously, those people will mention to others that they are a part of the podcast. So you guys are going to get some exposure. So you guys are enjoying what you do, man. I say keep doing it.
Yep, that's it, man. We just do it for fun, too, How about you, John? Anything you want to leave us with? Any words of wisdom?
Fuck tomatoes. I won't count those as a fruit.
Neither do I, but facts.
Fuck tomatoes.
This was super cool, and I'm not going to lie, I had a good time doing it. I should have had a beer with me now that I think about it, because it applies.
It does. It definitely applies.
Before we end this, what do you guys think of avocados, fruit or not?
Is it avocado season at Subway?
Sometimes.
Well, then fuck avocados.
Fuck them too.
Well, you can see Scott on his YouTube channel, Grimsie42. You can see John on his YouTube channel, VintageGameVikings. As always, you can see Chris on Foulmouth Gamers, Mike on T-Bitten192, and me on Matty J Mania. Pittsburgh Retro Gaming Convention, November 15th. Go check it out. It's www.pittsburghretrogaming.com. That convention is co-hosted by yours truly, as well as my partner James.
Free mustache rides.
There may be free mustache rides. No promises. No promises.
Can you put those in the raffle?
Yes.
We can raffle off free mustache rides. I'd buy 10 tickets.
10 tickets. I'll have to check out the legality of it. It might be considered prostitution. Not exactly sure. So on behalf of ours for Retro Podcast, thank you all for listening. Thank you also for being here, and have a great day, evening, night.